Hi, 1 Hour Smart Home here, and today we're going to show you how to install a Nest thermostat 3rd generation or Gen 3. So we've got our Nest Gen 3 here, and we've got our existing thermostat. The first thing that you need to do to install your Nest thermostat is go ahead and turn it up and turn it either to heat or cool so that you hear that system actually running. And the reason we do that is because the next step that we're going to do is go downstairs or wherever your HVAC system is located, and we're going to go ahead and turn off the HVAC system by turning off the switch that controls that system. And if you can't find that switch, go ahead and turn it off at the circuit breaker. But the point of turning the thermostat on is that when you flip that switch to turn off your HVAC system, then you'll know it's off because you'll hear that fan turn down and then it's no longer running. So right now, go ahead, turn your HVAC system on, and then go ahead and turn it off at the circuit breaker, and or there usually is a light switch on the side of the device, your HVAC system. Maybe it's in the same room as the HVAC system, or maybe it's on the wall where your HVAC system or furnace is. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so we're over at the HVAC system, and you can probably hear it running in the background, which is what we wanted. Now on this system, there's a light switch on the side that controls the power. So I'm just going to go ahead and shut that off, and you can hear that the HVAC system turned off. And that's the whole reason that we wanted to turn it on in the first place, is so that when we turn the power off at the device, it would no longer have any sound and we could confirm the power was off. All right, so we went down to the system and turned off the power at the system. My HVAC system has a switch right on the side of it, so I turned that off. But you can also use your circuit breaker if you don't have that switch there. Now, we're going to be installing the Nest with a 4-wire system. So our system has a HVAC system with an air conditioner and a traditional gas-fired furnace. So that's a very common system that you're going to find throughout the Midwest and in northern parts of the US. Now, I've got other videos that show you how to install this with a 2-wire system or with a heat pump. So go ahead and check those out in the description or links below. But if you've got a 4-wire system and you've got a traditional gas-fired furnace, or you've got a system with an air conditioner, we're going to show you how to install the Nest on that system. So now that we've turned the power off, what we need to do is remove the existing thermostat. Now, typically there might be a tab on the top, the sides, or the bottom that you might need to press in, and then you can pull that off. So just inspect the side of your device for how you can pull that off. Now what we've got here is our existing wiring for our existing thermostat, and we've got a screw that holds this in place. You may have one screw, you may have multiple screws. So let's go ahead and take a little bit closer look at this wiring. Now, before you do anything else, go ahead and take a picture of your existing wiring. And the reason that we're going to do that is we want to have the thermostat wiring in case we have to go back to this device if we have any issues. Also, it's going to make it much easier to track which wires go where on the Nest thermostat if you take a nice picture here. So what we've got is our W wire, and that's the wire for heating. The next wire we've got is our Y wire, and that's the yellow wire. Sometimes it's blue, but in our case it's yellow, and the Y stands for our air conditioning control. The next wire we've got is our G wire, and that G wire is the fan control for our system. And the last one, R, that is our power wire. Now, some of you will have a jumper between RH and RC. Not really a big deal. You don't need that jumper when you go to the new Nest thermostat. However, maybe you have a wire in both R and a wire in RC. That's called a dual fuel system. And the Nest Gen 3 can accommodate that wiring, so not really a big deal there. But go ahead, take a picture of what you've got, and then what we're going to do is go ahead and remove the wires here, and then we're going to remove the screw that's holding this in place on the wall. Now we've got the thermostat wire terminals loosened up, so we can just go ahead and pull these free. Now the Nest does come with some wire labels that you can use to label each one of these wires so you don't lose track of them. So that's always a good idea to do that. And if you've got a more complex system where you've got more wires, or maybe you want to install a Nest with a humidifier, go ahead and also check out the links in the description below. Now we're going to go ahead and remove this screw that is holding on our thermostat backer plate. All right, so we've got the existing base plate removed, and now we're ready to go ahead and install the Nest base plate and the Nest backer plate. So you can install the Nest without this backer plate, but sometimes you're going to have a hole in your wall like this, so we're going to go ahead and use this along with the base plate. The base plate has all the electronics in it. And all you're going to do is go ahead and line these two so that they are connected. You can see it won't move if I try and move it here a little bit. There's some indentations on the back of the plate there that hold it in place. And then what you're going to do is go ahead and then you're going to run your wires through the center of the base plate. And from there, all we're going to do is go ahead and make sure we've got it pretty close to level. You can adjust it a little bit once you've got it screwed in. And then we're just going to take our screw and screw it into the wall to hold this in place. All right, now that we've got the base plate in place, we're ready to go ahead and connect the wires. So the first one that I'm going to go ahead and do, and it doesn't matter which order you go in for which wires go first, it just matters that you match them up with the correct terminals. The first one I'm going to go with is the power wire. Now the power wire can go in either the RH or the RC. It doesn't really matter which terminal you put this in if you have a system that only has one power source. If you have a dual fuel system, like a boiler system with an air conditioner, sometimes you're going to have two power wires. And typically what I recommend then is that you take the power wire that goes for your heating system and put it in RH, and you take the power wire that goes with your cooling system and put it in RC. But in general, if you've just got one red wire or one R wire, I just go ahead and put it in the RH over here, and that usually works fine with the Nest thermostat, so go ahead and do that now. Now the next wire that we've got is our white wire, and this is our call for heat. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to press down. There's a little tab right here on the Nest 3rd generation. You press that down as you insert the wire, and you go ahead and insert it there. And you want to make sure that you have enough copper stripped on there so that it has good contact. We're getting good contact, and you'll know you have good contact when it's inserted and this little tab stays down once it's inserted, and just make sure that you've got enough contact by visually looking at it. So all of these have enough wire open here where we're going to be able to insert them. Now another thing to note is if you've got older wiring, you don't want these wires to be frayed and touching each other, because sometimes that can cause it to short circuit. So if you've got that problem, just take a little bit of electrical tape and cover up those frayed wires if they're rubbing up against each other, or try and prevent them from fraying. Now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to take our Y wire here, our yellow wire, and we're going to insert it into the Y1 terminal, which is the air conditioning terminal. So we go ahead and press down and put that in there. And all we've got left is our G wire, which is our fan terminal. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to press down, and we're going to insert the G wire into the G terminal. So now we are all set with our wiring, and all we have to do is go ahead and install the Nest thermostat on the base plate. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Nest thermostat, and you can see there's a little pinhole down here that aligns with this pinhole on the back of the Nest, and you just want to orient it vertically so the Nest logo is at the top. And they also have a handy dandy level built in here on the base plate, so you can go ahead and level the Nest if you need to. So in order to do this, all you're going to do is go ahead and align it with the Nest thermostat base plate, and then you're going to put the Nest Gen 3 into position. You can kind of tilt it in place, so you're just going to tilt it and then push down, and then it's going to be on there. So now at this point that we've got it nice and secured on there, we can rotate the outer ring. We're ready to go turn the power back on at the HVAC system. So I'm going to go ahead, go down to the HVAC system and turn the power back on, and then this should light up and start working, and you might get a blinking light here once the power is restored. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, we restored the power, and now the Nest thermostat is getting ready to set up. So we're just going to let it go through this process and then get it set up. Now, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and download the Nest app so that you're going to be able to use your Nest Gen 3 thermostat. Now, it just asks us to choose a language, so I'm going to go ahead and choose English US, and then we're going to go ahead and choose that again. And now we're going to go ahead and click Equipment. It says, are you a Nest Pro or a homeowner? I'm just going to go ahead and click homeowner here. And then it says our equipment detected. So I'm going to try and turn this down so you can see this a little bit better. It says we have cooling connected on Y1. we've got our fan connected on G, we've got our heat connected on W1, and our power connected on RH. So let's go ahead, that is correct, and click continue. Now you make selections by pressing a little button or toggle on the Nest thermostat down here at the bottom. So there's not an actual button, but what it is that the Nest can kind of rotate, and when it rotates, by pressing down here on the bottom of the Nest, what it does is make a selection. And then you can also make selections by rotating the outer ring to change the selection. And then when you want to make the selection, you go ahead and just press with your thumb down here at the bottom or a finger, and it's going to make that selection. So let's go ahead. We're going to click continue here for our heating system. What fuel is the source of our heating? We use gas with this system, so we're going to go ahead and select that. It says, what type of heating do you have? We have forced air, so we're going to go ahead and select that as well right there. And then we're going to go ahead and click the Nest app. And now it says add to your account. You'll be able to control the thermostat remotely and use additional features. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue here. And then it says use a recent version of the Nest app to get started. Use the entry key or QR code below in order to get this set up. So I'm going to go ahead and get an entry key, and then we're going to insert that into the app. All right, now we just logged into the Nest app, and we're going to go ahead and click add a product here. It says scan the code, or you can go ahead and click continue without scanning. That's what I'm going to do. And then we're just going to go down and we're going to select our device, which is a Nest thermostat. And we have the Nest Learning Thermostat, which is also called the Nest Thermostat 3rd generation or the Nest Gen 3 thermostat. So it's that top option right here. And I highly recommend this thermostat in comparison to the newer version of the Nest thermostat. This one, in many cases, is going to be easier to install because it doesn't require a common wire. Plus, it's going to be compatible with more systems because it has more terminals for capabilities like humidifiers or dual fuel heating and cooling. So we've already installed it here. We're going to go ahead and click already installed down there at the bottom. And now we're just going to go ahead and enter our entry key. So we're just going to go ahead and click this, and then we're going to enter that entry key. Now it says connecting to your Nest thermostat once we entered that entry key. Now it's looking for Wi-Fi networks. Now we just need to click on our Wi-Fi network and then enter a password. Once we've entered the password, it starts setting up the Wi-Fi. It says setting up the Nest network. Finishing up. It says added to your account. Use the Nest app to continue setting up your thermostat. And it says finishing up, added to your account. I'm going to go ahead and click next over here on the app. Now we can just give this a name. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this one downstairs. It says how to use auto schedule. We've got other videos that show you the full Nest thermostat manual and how to schedule it. So go ahead and check those out in the description or links below, or just go ahead and Google it and maybe it'll pop up. We'll click next. It says choose your eco temperatures. So if you live in a cold climate and you don't want your pipes to freeze, make sure you choose a suitable temperature. I usually like to choose about 60 degrees because sometimes it gets really cold. And then you also can choose an eco temperature at the top range. So very good idea to make sure you choose one that's comfortable, not only for you, but if you leave your pets at home and you plan on using eco mode, make sure that it's not too hot so they don't get too hot while you are away, or just disable eco mode altogether. So we're going to go ahead and click next. It says which mode should your thermostat start using today. We're going to use cooling. It says you're all done with setup. Follow the steps on your thermostat's display to run a test run. We're going to click done. And now our thermostat is all set up. I'm just going to click continue here. It says we can test our system. So you can go ahead and click test now, and you can test the heating and cooling and fan. I know all of mine work, so I'm not going to do that, but you could do that if you want to test cooling or you want to test heating or your fan. So we're going to click done here, and you can see it's already started cooling. And now I can either turn the temperature up or down by scrolling on the outer dial here, or I can go up above cooling if I wanted to. And from my cell phone, I can also go ahead and adjust the temperature up or down. And you can see that then reflected over here. It takes about a second or two for it to update. So you can see that we can adjust it all the way down here. Let's Say we want it to be 66, 65, and we can keep making those adjustments. Now, if you want to change the mode, you can do so by clicking down here, and you could choose heat, or you could choose cool or heat cool, or just completely off. So we're going to leave it on cool. It's very warm in here, and it also shows the inside humidity. So that is how you install a Nest thermostat, or a Nest Learning thermostat, or the Nest Gen 3 thermostat. Thank you for watching this video, and if you want to support us, please go ahead, give us that thumbs up, subscribe, or click any of the links below to support us. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.